March 19th, general meeting of the Fort Worth Astronomical Society. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. And so we have a big crowd tonight. I can't imagine why. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of really exciting stuff happening in the next month or so. So we are glad that everybody is here in the building. And how many folks online, Chris? Well, so we have about somewhere between 6 and 10 folks online. Welcome. Next slide, please. Thank you. Are there any visitors here tonight? John, you're not a visitor. So could you stand up, please, real quick? We got a lot to cover tonight. We're glad that you're here. Welcome. We hope that you'll join. A lot of exciting stuff. Thank you for being here. And by the way, my name is Bob Sirkis, and I'm the president of the Fort Worth Astronomical Society. Next slide, please. New members. Any new members here tonight? We have a whole slew. Please stand up. If you're a new member, welcome. Okay. Glad you're here. There's something for everybody in this club. Guarantee it. Next slide, please. Okay. About us. We're founded in 1949. We have 344 members in the club. Okay, that's awesome, and it's growing. Okay, and outreach is a big part of that. We have a tremendously wide range of experience within the club. Any questions? Ask. The only question that's a bad question is the one that you don't ask. Everybody in this club is willing to help in one way or another. Our club, we're a nonprofit organization. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. You want to know more information? There you go. Those are all the hot links on the interworld. Okay. So, next slide, please. Executive board. Would the board please stand up? All those members that are here. Okay. This club doesn't work without all these volunteers. A lot of folks helping out, doing a lot of things. Next slide, please. Key contacts. We got development committee, it's Michelle Thiessen. Public outreach, it's Patrick and John McCrae back here. Solar Eclipse team. So Juan Martinez and Chris Malicki here. Tom Roth for Palo Pinto. The Thompson Observatory, we'll chat about that at another time, but it's a partnership we have with Southwest Adventist University. It's a great facility, and we have access to it. Our prime focus editor is George Lutch. Bill Hall, vice president, is responsible for all these outstanding presentations. And John Geronimi is membership and donations, as well as treasurer. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about some of the things that we're working on lately. So if you haven't been out to Rising Star lately, it's changed. This is what we have. We have the first of our observatories is up. It's not operational yet. We have some work to do. We have 5 lease pads built, and each lease pad has power and high-speed internet to it. And then there are 4 public pads, and there are power for people to use. There are 2 balustrades with powers out. So that's what we've gotten done to date. The power company is installing our power lines tomorrow. This weekend, we'll get the electricity connected, and then on Monday, we'll ask them to come out and energize. We're going to have a work party this weekend. It's to finish the electrical work, trench the 3-aught power, build the disconnects, and that kind of stuff. We're going to finish work on the observing area and prep for the astronomy and education building and the maintenance building. So plan to order the containers tomorrow. Official ribbon cutting is going to be on May the 4th. It's a Saturday. No moon, another reason. And we will publish the sign up Friday. Well, it's going to be the same sign up sheet we had last year. Dates have changed and some texts have changed. We had our first ever event at 1687 10 days ago. It was a great success. Maru, Matt, myself, Bill, Cy, I know I'm forgetting somebody. Pardon? Oh, Ben. It was outstanding. It was really cool. It was a great experience. They had the folks that were there had quite a bit of fun. We learned some things that we're going to do to make it better. And our next event is in April. We have 3 in April and 3 in May, and there's more coming. I spoke with our contact out there today. I'm sorry, in June, not May. Thank you, Cy. And then I just wanted to bring something up. We're changing our property and liability insurance carriers. That'll happen effective April the 1st. And our current carrier basically didn't want to carry us anymore. So we have the policy's pretty good. And the coverage is, it's $2,276 a year, or $189.66 a month. The D&O is separate. I have it. I need to share it with you and Stephen. Make sure it's okay. Thank you. Next slide. Thanks. So tonight's presenters, if I could get them to stand up. Everybody needs exercise. Bill Hall, Chris Malicki, Juan Martinez in the back, Christian Pensick, and Robert Cargill. Cy Simonson, I said Chris. So I'm interested in Robert Cargill's presentation because it's going to be about polar aligning in the daylight. And since I'm polar alignment challenge, it is going to be really exciting. And I'm just going to hand it over to Bill.
All right. Hey, by the way, if you're curious as to why our membership jumped from 200 people to 344 people, it's because we were counting families as one member. So when we actually started counting individuals, 344, boom. Yeah, exactly. Hello, Ted. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Better late than never,
Can
Ted.
you do that in the
Another
dark?
one of our directors.
All right. How do you turn on the light? Powerful light. It's my presentation slide. Okay, we're doing this. I'm gonna have a sunburn at the end of this. All right, so what I've got is I've got some tips, just kind of a last minute thing for the upcoming eclipse and stuff. So next slide. So you want to maximize totality time, thinking the center of the width of the path. So obviously the closer that you are to the edge of the path, the shorter your eclipse time is going to be. Avoid the part of the length of the path where the sun is most oblique to the Earth's surface. Say if we're all like staying in Texas, we probably don't need to worry about that, but I think up north, it's actually quite oblique and it actually moves faster, so they actually have shorter amount of eclipse time up there. Do your research on the path. GreatAmericanEclipse.com is an amazing website that went up for the 2017 eclipse, and they've just stuck around for this one. DateandTime.com is another good one. Eclipse-wise, something I don't have up here is Eclipsophile, and even the Astroblog. So next slide. Optimize your line of sight. Wherever you're going to be, you want to move. I don't think we have to worry about it in this one because it's a 1 o'clock eclipse. But normally, you know, it could be a morning, it could be an evening eclipse. You want to make sure there's not a mountain or a tree or a building in the way where you're going to be set up. Next slide. Be ready to punt. Okay, so we all know what weather looks like in April in North Texas. So if you're going to be here, that's fine. If you are in a position to be able to bug out, if the weather is bad, you want to start looking at the weather a couple days, 3 days out from it. We're all going to be looking at the weather every day starting last week anyway, so it doesn't matter. But the thing is that if you are in a position where you can bug out, you want to make sure that you've got a couple of plans that can get you to a place where the sky might be opened up for you. And you want to consider traffic as well. So next slide. Be prepared with the gear. Don't forget sunscreen, towels, a hat, drinks, snacks, and seats. This isn't just a 4.5-minute event. This is hours long. From first contact to fourth contact is, you know, about a 3.5 hour thing. So you want to make sure that you've got real solar glasses. I know there's a lot of knockoffs that come from a certain Asian country, and it's a problem because they may not be protecting your eyes. So you want to be really careful about that. Brand names, you can talk to Chris or Juan about that, and they also have glasses as well. And I think it's what, 5 free for every member? Okay. Solar binoculars are great to have. I recommend Celestron, Eclipse View, or it's Celestron that makes them, but they're like really great. They're white light filters, so you can see sunspots in the photosphere. And it's great to be able to look at it magnified. Have more than one set of accessories. So if, you know, I'm doing a lot of redundancy, so I'm taking a camera, I'm taking a couple of telescopes. I've got multiple sheets of white light filter. I've got multiple glasses. It's just redundancy. For technical activities, rehearse for the real thing. So anybody who's actually imaging it, the more rehearsal that you get in, the better. If you can get it to where you're just running this thing like clockwork, you're not messing with figuring anything out while it's happening. Because the last thing that you want to be doing is messing with gear and, oh, you just missed the thing. So if you don't have a hydrogen alpha solar scope, you might want to find a friend or that can bring one, because it's really cool to be looking at that. I mean, all the focus is on the sun for that event, and it's a really cool thing to be have in the area where you're at. Next slide. Be early and leave late. When I was in Bend in 2017, we drove up. It was a 45-minute drive. 3 o'clock in the morning, my wife and I went up to Madras, and it was 45 minutes, no traffic. I was amazed. There was nobody on the road. It took us 45 minutes to get there, no traffic whatsoever. It took us 4.5 hours to get back. So what I learned from that is to find a place where you're gonna be and hang out and wait for the traffic to die down, unless you just like sitting in a car. On the way, if you're late getting to where you're going to be for the eclipse, you really do want to think about traffic. You don't want to be stuck in traffic when you haven't gotten to where you want to be, or you're going to be getting out of your car on the roadside and looking at it like everybody else is that's stuck in traffic around you. Next slide. Be in the moment. Hit the head early. Hit the head early. This is no, these are old slides. I actually did this for my chili presentation, but you know, you want to be able to just focus on it. You don't want to miss the thing. If the technical gear gives you trouble, my recommendation is you leave it alone during totality and just soak up the moment. There is nothing like this. Who has not seen a total solar eclipse? Oh, wow. It's gonna change your life. There is a reason why for the past 6 Sky and Telescope magazines that the cover story is about the solar eclipse. The hype is real, people. It's real, and it burns into your memory. It's something you'll never forget. So try and catch the shadow. You know, this moon is creating a shadow that's going across the earth, 1,600 miles an hour, and you can actually watch the shadow going across the sky. You can watch the shadow going across the landscape. It's amazing. Notice the other people, animals, the birds, streetlights, everything starts reacting like it's twilight. It's really cool. Things don't get really dark. It's more like a twilight sort of vibe, but it's a weird light. Never seen light like this before. It's not like any other sort of light you've ever seen. It's weird. You want to think about how people reacted while you're watching this eclipse. Think about how people reacted to eclipses back before we were enlightened with science. A lot of freaking out going on. Next slide. So in the club, as a club member, astronomy is like our deal. And we could all be in a place watching this event where we may be the only ones that actually know about what's really going on. And that makes every one of us ambassadors to the skies. And the place that I intend on be, actually, Ted Smith, who was just, came in a little bit earlier, he and I are going to be down in Comfort, Texas, and we're probably going to be the only ones that are going to be telling people, hey, it's time to take your glasses off. Hey, this is what's going on here, and hey, look for the diamond ring and stuff. We're all ambassadors, and I think that that's a beautiful thing, because I think that for the most part, the public is surprisingly uninformed. And so next slide. You know this stuff. It's pretty familiar territory to most of us. Be aware that many of the people around may know very little or nothing about what's going on. They may not know when to wear their glasses and when not to. Chris actually made that point last month. They may not know about the goodies to look for, like Bailey's beads, or even what causes them. So, these are things that that you can share with the people around you that don't know. It's going to really enrich everybody's experience. Next slide. So parts of the eclipse. So for those that don't know, first contact, it's when the moon, actually the moon is basically touching the edge of the sun, moving in front of it. Second contact is when the trailing edge of the moon is touching that same side of the sun, so it's actually the beginning of totality. Totality, of course, is when the moon is centered. And then the third contact and fourth contact is basically the first and second contact in reverse. So you can't see first contact and you can't see fourth contact. you can't see first contact because you can't see the moon that close to the sun. It's way too much contrast no matter what filter you've got. But when you start seeing that little bite into the sun, you know it's begin. Next slide. So this is actually this is actually kind of a visual of first, second, and third and fourth contact. So you know, and when I was in Bend, it was like Lowell Observatory was hosting the event. Some guy on the PA was like, "Okay, everybody, it's first contact's about to start." You know, it's like it made it an event. We're looking at this thing in stages, which is what it is. Next slide. Bailey's beads. It's sunlight showing through the mountains on the moon. And to know that and to be able to share that is something that's you're teaching people. It's a really cool part of this. It's something that you hear about. If you didn't know that that's what it was, that's why it's making beads. It's because you're looking through moon's mountains. Next slide. And then of course the diamond ring. So, you know, this happens at both third contact and second contact, as do Bailey's beads. And it's just when the sun's disappearing behind the moon and then when it reappears after totality. It's a very beautiful sight. And it's also indicates it's time to put the glasses back on. So what appears in the darker sky? So we've got periodic comet Pons-Brooks that's about 24, 25 degrees from the sun in the sky. It's already at below magnitude 6, so it's actually, I haven't seen it naked eye, dark skies yet, but it's below magnitude 6s, which say. Likely visible in binoculars. I don't know if it's going to be visible with the naked eye. No, you know what? It won't be visible with the naked eye because the rule, and I looked this up today to really kind of make sure. I remember back in 2017, I saw Regulus, or was that in Chile? One of the eclipses I've seen, I saw Regulus, and it was like, okay, well, Regulus is about magnitude 1, so that's sort of the stars you're going to be seeing, or any objects for that matter, is magnitude 1 or brighter. So you're going to be seeing the planets, maybe Mercury, definitely Venus, definitely Jupiter, maybe Saturn, and Mars. Next slide. What to capture? So I've got 2 video cameras. I'm talking about camcorders. And it's recording audio at the same time, which is a beautiful thing when you listen and watch this months or years later. It's amazing how the excitement starts to build as you know that totality is about to happen. It's just this ramp up of freaking out. So capturing the eclipse itself, capturing the whole sky in a wide shot. People's reactions. Capturing the moon's shadow going across the sky. There's this thing called shadow bands, which I'll kind of point you to later. And I would say, at very least, it's cool to get audio footage, because it really is. The crowd reaction is insane, and you'll be one of the ones freaking out, no matter how many times you've seen an eclipse. It's crazy. Next slide. Fun facts to share. So you guys don't have to worry about taking pictures of any of this stuff. I'm going to be PDFing this and putting it on our group's IO site. But like stuff like that total solar eclipses are unique to the Earth in our solar system here. That total solar eclipses happen on the average about once every 1.5 years. Moon shadows going about 1,600 miles per hour on the average. According to Herodotus, a 6-year war between the Medes and the Lycians ended up because of a total solar eclipse. So history, according to this, actually indicates that this war had been going on for years, and basically in the battlefield, this total solar eclipse happened. And everybody was like, "Yeah, okay, we're all cool. We're going to go home now." Next slide. The moon gets an inch and a half further away every year, which means that in about 600 million years, we won't have total solar eclipses anymore. They'll all be annular. Every year, there are between 2 to 5 solar eclipses of some sort somewhere on Earth. Totality for a solar eclipse can last, at longest, 7.5 minutes. Identical eclipses occur every 18 years and 11 days, which is called a Saros. Next slide. So these are some really great links. The top one actually talks about the shadow bands, and it actually goes into some real detail about what the shadow bands actually look like, so you kind of know what to look for. The second one, the second link right here is actually a huge list of frequently asked questions by the public about eclipses. And the bottom one, the bottom link is pretty amazing too. So these are actually 3 links that really stood out to me. Next slide. That's it. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to kick on the lights because this is a visual presentation here. Robert Cargill is going to come down and he's going to show us about how to polar align your mount in the daytime. So everybody watch your eyes. Glasses. Well played. Well played.
Thank you, Bill. Can everybody hear me? Is this thing working? Yes. Huh. Yeah, I think that's me. Since we are on the topic of solar eclipses, October 2023 did it for me. It was an annular solar eclipse. Got off work at 11 p.m. or a.m., packed up my car and head to Hobbs, New Mexico. Got there about 7:30 p.m. as the sun was setting. So the next day, I met up with Pam and her friends, and we sat up in between 2 buildings, had a perfect clear view of the sky, not a cloud. So we set up our gear and stuff, and first contact happened, and I was sitting there like, man, this is pretty cool. But let's back up for a little bit. So when I was setting up my mount, I figured out where north was, so I'm going like that. I'm like, with my phone, with the GPS on it and the compass, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, it looks close enough. No, it wasn't. I was constantly adjusting both axes, watching it on the camera screen of my Canon. And I'm sitting there like, man, every few minutes I'm sitting there constantly adjusting it. So what I did, I was doing some research. Bruce told me about an app for the iPhone. Well, I have an Android, so I did a little research. I found an Android app. Can we have slides, please? Okay. Picture of the moon taken by me. The Polar Align Pro app. Next one, please. So you can see it here circled in the lime green square. I think it was like $3.50 for the app. And so far, this is my review, and it actually has worked quite decently. Next one, please. Okay, it does have a compass on there, as you can tell, and you can level your mount first by hitting the level button and kind of get your mount as close as possible. I really don't bother leveling it, but next one. We're going to kind of skip a little bit here. This has a feature to help recognize where Polaris is. Okay. Okay, at least y'all don't have to look at me now. The scope feature talks about the polar alignment scope on the mount. So it gives you, for the northern hemisphere, I'm not sure if there's one for the southern, but next one, please. And it has one for the Ioptron. Next one. For the Orion Sky Adventure, shows you where to put Polaris right there throughout the year. Next one. And of course, that's like for the Celestron, CG4 mounts, etc. Next one. Okay. Now, this one here is kind of important because, next one, please. When you go to mount, you can actually adjust the RA, the latitude, the up and down part, going like this. Next one. And of course, when you get closer to zero, you're getting pretty close. Next one. So it's just kind of showing you move it up and down to get where you need to be in the little red circle with the donut there. Next one. Okay, now here comes the good part. The daytime align where the white arrow is. Next one. Okay, when you open up the app and have it, take your phone and you set it up on here like so, that white crosshair is going to be kind of floating around a little bit. So what you're going to have to do is play with the mount. You're going to have to play with it, with the deck this way, and you're going to have to move it this way as well too. Thank you. Because you want the crosshair. Next one, please. And it'll move around depending where you're at. Next one. Next one. That's where you want to be, bullseye. Now, once you have it there, you can just make a few less corrections. Still have to make corrections, but not as many like I did back in October 2023. And it's definitely made a big difference on my solar photography during the daytime. Next one. And they have a night and day version depending on which one you like better for the daytime view. Next one. Okay, this is a live. I took this just the other day, kind of give a better sense since you can't see it in the dark. You can see it right here. You can see, of course, that's leveling it, but it's not going to work when it's tilted. Next. And of course, I'm just kind of demonstrating how the bubbles move around on there. Next. Now, I got the level. You want to make sure it's not like this or like that. You want to try to make sure it's perfectly flat as possible. Next. Okay, now this is the RA tuning picture that has the little bubble with the dot in it, and you want to try to get that as close as possible to zero. Next. And you can see by when I turn the mount from one way, next slide, to the other way, you can see how the crosshair moves. Next. Now see, it's all lined up. And that's what you want to do. You want to kind of play with it back and forth to make sure you're actually where you're supposed to be. Next. And of course, that's just kind of showing how the mount is orientated to this. Next. Shows the GPS when it was last updated, the accuracy, and it also shows the time zone, which sometimes I tend to forget. Are we ahead an hour or behind an hour sometimes? And it also gives you your latitude and longitude. And also one thing I found out is they want you to calibrate it. So what I do, I sit here at Mineral State Park going like this, going around in circles, you know, calibrating it, sure everything works. So yes, you got to do that. Next. Okay. I made this out of a Los Mandes or an ADM D plate, along with a William Optics Red Cat fixing dovetail bar. And I machined this part so it holds the phone in place. But, you know, that's all aluminum. And what is TV antennas made out of? Aluminum. So it could be a possible source of inaccuracy to the phone's compass. And also, what's another problem with the motors on the mounts, they have magnets. So that could interfere with the phone's compass. And I have plans to try to 3D print one all out of plastic to help kind of isolate the phone away from the mount and the magnets. Next one. And it's just different views. Next one. Just kind of showing you how I put it together. Next one. Next one. Okay, this is out when I'm out at Mineral State Park. Yeah, just kind of getting it ready, just showing how it's kind of orientated. Next one. And this is going back to what Bill was talking about, that yes, I will be using 2 gears to capture the sun. The gold telescope is my Coronado 60 millimeter Solar Max telescope, which is HA, and it's really cool. The other one is my Orion Apex 102 MacCast telescope with a white light filter. That one's going to have the DSLR. The other telescope is going to have the Player One Apollo M mini camera on there. Next one. And I've been using Jackery batteries. I've been using 3 of them, but I also have it set up where I can use an extension cord off of one of the Jackery batteries to power both of the mounts at the same time. Then I also found out that I could use one of my Jackery batteries to power the DSLR. So that means I'll have infinite supply of battery for the camera. Next one. And here's a kind of showing how I got it all set up. And since I use the laptop, I have a tub on a table for the laptop when I use SharpCap to capture the sun. Next one. Now, Bruce came up with an idea about capturing the corona. Well, if I use the MacCast telescope, which is at 1300 millimeter focal length, it's going to be a good tight shot of the sun with little less of the corona. Well, this is my ASCAR 80 PHQ refractor. It's a quadruplet refractor, 600 millimeter focal length, 80 millimeters. And it gives a nice wide field of view. So I'll be using that to capture the corona as well. Next one. And of course, I got a glass filter on there, which I found out it has a nasty reflection in there. Next one. So I had to tilt the filter just a little bit to kind of help get rid of the reflection in there. Next one. Okay, this is grossly overexposed. This is like 30th of a second, but we got one sun, we got another sun, but this is actually the reflection, right? Don't want reflections in there. And actually Juan Martinez brought up a subject about reflections also. Next slide. So this is after tilting the solar filter, the glass solar filter. You may not have that much problem with using Mylar film since it's kind of crinkly and wavy. So it might help do away with that. But this is a glass solar filter, so yes, there will be internal reflections. And that's the end of my presentation. Yes. Like so. Any questions?
One. I have
Yes.
one. So you're pretty close to polar line at the date. Have you actually figured out by using sharp cap at night, figure how far off alignment you might be?
It gets you close, but it's not going to get you. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to use this analogy. Like I use Pole Master at night. So it puts me on the pitcher's mound at Arlington's ballpark. This puts you the outside of the stadium. So yes, Pole Master is considerably close, but this just kind of gets you in the ballpark. Yes. Yes. That I do not know. Any other questions? Yes. See what? Yes. There's also been discussion about a double diamond, I think. Has anybody heard about that? Yeah, that mainly depends on location. Big time. If that's it, I'll turn it back over to Bill.
Call to the principal's office.
That's fine. All right, so this is low tech. This is just a simple little telescope I got from Walmart, and just adjust it. Some telescopes you may need a filter on, but this is only like this is a 70 millimeter, so I don't need a filter to worry about it, but I just bought a filter to kind of show what happens. Usually when you get these telescopes, it's straight through, you don't have a diagonal. So you really want to make sure you have a diagonal, or else when it's all up in the, it's looking at the sun, you have to be on the ground to sit it. So with a diagonal, stick that right in there, you're good to go. Juan, you want to talk about the filter part? Sticking the filter in on the 90?
You could do it now or at the
Because you're the one
next
talking about
slide.
that.
Oh, you got an actual photo of that.
Mike's on.
Is that on?
Okay.
Now it's on. We can talk about it now. I think you had the diagram slide, didn't you? You have that, you had the diagram slide as well?
Yeah. You
You could do it here or next slide. So kind of an exploded view for those that are not familiar with the sun funnel, right? It is obviously not intended for direct eyepiece viewing. It's a projection up at the top, a rear projection image for a group to see all at one time. Way more effective than having a line queuing up of individuals to get a very brief fleeting glimpse during a time-critical eclipse. Some of the upgrades from the instruction sets that's been circulated, what Sai's getting at is the location of the color filter. Normally, we're all used to threading the color filter directly into the eyepiece, right? Whether it's a 1 1/4 or 2-inch. The issue is the focal length of the OTA is right there, right at the intersection of the eyepiece intersection. So all your energy is focused right on that. If you place it further out at the nose of the diagonal, now the light cone is spread out. Instead of at pinpoint, it's now a large disc, that cross section. So it evenly warms up the glass. It doesn't thermally stress it as much. So, and it does not affect the image quality at all. And you still have the ability to focus, of course. That's a small detail for now.
Yeah.
You keep talking about the other upgrades.
Go back one slide. So a lot of diagonals, like this one up here, does not have threads. This one does, where I can actually thread my IP or the filter on the inside, on the inside here that goes in. So if you're going to do that, make sure you get the right diagonal. If you set it in, or it may not set very well.
And it's not obligatory, right? You can go straight white light. You can put a yellow filter, an orange filter. You can pretty much put any spectrum or combination you like. Just not infrared or UV. It doesn't like that either.
If you want something real crazy, and if it's bright enough, you can stack a yellow and a red, kind of give it an orange. So if you're using pieces, make sure you use all metal or glass. Don't use plastic. So if you got a plastic diagonal or anything like that, it could melt. Use a mirror diagonal, not a prism. You don't want some magnification on that. Juan's been pretty smart figuring out, hey, why don't we paint these white so they don't get as hot? Because when they get hot, they start to warp a little bit. Oop, yeah. Especially if you're going to have it viewing all day, just kind of sitting in the sun. So that's a good idea. So the magical formula to get the full image of the sun. So you want to get as much of the sun as you can. If you got a different eyepiece in there, you may only get a little piece in there. So this is the magical formula. Your focal length of your telescope, this is 400, divided by 43. 43 is the magic number. And it ends up being a 9.5 millimeter eyepiece. This is a 9 millimeter, so it'll fit in there just right. You start getting to 10, 12s, it adjusts a little bit. So projection film, you got an 8x8 sheet back there if you don't have any. But if you're going to use that, the shiny side is on the top, and the grainy side is on the inside. That way the grainy side kind of picks up the projection a lot better. And I got slides. Constantine, if you want this, I have slides if you want to take a picture of it as well afterwards. I know some people are going to want these websites. All right, so on the, just make sure when you're building them, the shiny side out, the grainy side in, so it picks it up. Next slide, Juan talked about. Anything else you got on that? Yeah. There's the magical funnel, if you can get them anywhere, but the instructions are on that sheet. And there's just about an 8x8 sheet of projection paper that we have. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, shiny side here, and you can see the grainy side on the other side. So plenty of it back there. There's some scissors back there. Grab what you want. I've had that for several years. Just donate it to the club. Juan's wearing it. Next slide. All right, just basic stuff. Never look through the telescope. Want to use the funnel. Minimize touching the screen. You just don't want to degrade the screen that's up here, especially if it's been projected on there. So you don't want to do that. And just like anything, just keep your fingers off the glass. Don't want to get it all foggy and messed up and such. That's all I got. Questions? Yes. Well, if you, this is a 70 millimeter. Yeah. With this filter on, I was looking through it the other day. I couldn't barely see the sun. So if it's a 70 millimeter a lot or less and you stick that color filter on your diagonal, it won't heat up that much. But if you got something bigger than 70, you may want to look at something else.
We can feel that. So you can operate these unattenuated on the front end. General guideline size is anywhere between 40 and about 80 millimeters.
Yeah, so I don't need a filter on this. You won't get hot enough to be concerned.
And many scopes
But if you're
have,
getting over 80, you're going to look at need to get some type of solar filter.
many telescopes, right? The 80s, the 100s, 102s, they come with a dust cap that has a built-in aperture stop, right? The little donut hole. And so that softens the light. So very good question, right? As a general rule, the total cross-section, the aperture of light coming in should be around 70 or less. You can get away with 80, and there's always that variable of partly cloudy or cirrus clouds. That may actually attenuate, or if for some reason you're looking through some thin trees in the backyard in the afternoon. Just not
Yeah,
during the
and even
eclipse.
just taking out that little part, you're still going to get plenty of sun to project. So, yes. I have
Herschel
not.
wedge would be obviously replacing the diagonal. Right, I think a Herschel wedge only allows transmission of less than 5%. If you had a large enough aperture, absolutely, that would still work. If you can get a bright image. Herschel wedges with eyepieces, as you may or may not know, you implement a secondary filtration with a polarizer where you rotate the eyepiece to darken that image. Right? The diagonal being the first axis. The polarizer is your variable dim. Very good question. Now we all got homework to do. Go try that one out.
I was going to say something about the Herschel wedge, and that is that these things transmit a lot of light, and to use them effectively, if you're going to use them for visual use, you really have to have a polarizer in front of it so that you can cut down the light that comes out through the eyepiece. So I think with this, telescope, the telescope and the sun funnel, I don't see why there would be any problem using a Herschel wedge with it. You will get really incredibly sharp views with the Herschel wedge. It's like nothing you've ever seen.
Bill, I'm done. Who's next?
Yes, very important question. The question was, is this intended for refractors only? Absolutely. Never use the sun funnel projection method with any reflectors, right? A classic Newtonian or any catadioptrics, right? A Schmidt-Cassegrain, Max-Sutov-Cassegrain, because all that energy does focus, converge on your secondary and or corrector plates, especially once you're off axis. So very good question, important safety tip. Speaking of safety tips, I'd like to call up someone from the audience, one of our club members, Pam. She took one for the team. She conducted some real world science for us, and she may have it. She was experimenting with color filters, and we owe her a debt of gratitude for field testing for us, which we did do some trial balloons with the funnels before there it is, before. Come on down, Pam, you got to show everyone. Or maybe circulate it.
Oh, no.
So,
Yeah,
so curiosity killed the cat, right? Trying
It
different,
is not usable anymore.
trying different color filters. They even show up online. Get some contrast. Oh, there you go. Oh, here we go. Oh.
Trust me.
Here, shine this light through it. So what you're not seeing online is Pam broke a filter. She was, well, okay, no. It's not I broke it, it's it broke. So you can still see some white light coming through. So Pam was playing with colors, as we all do, right? You can try pure white. I don't know why we're being careful with it. It's broken. So you can do, again, the sun image can be pure white, it could be yellow, orange. If there's something, we did some surveys and asked around at least 50 folks. The resounding results was orange is favorable. There's something warm, soothing, familiar about that setting sun. Pam, as a token of thank you, we have a gift for you here. So, and you can open it offline later. We're not gonna make you might get ambushed. So Chris is driving. I think we can move on to the next segment if there's any more questions on specific to the sun funnels. Okay, and thank you, Cy, for bringing all that idea to us a few years ago in 2017.
I want to reiterate one more thing, is that if you don't use the white light filter on the end of your refractor, just really remember not to look through the telescope if you take the sun funnel off.
Very easy to drop your guard. Chris, if you had the other pitch for the outreach pitch. It's the outreach presentation. Okay, outstanding. So moving on. So this part, I think we could leave it on. You let us know midway and announce the need for glasses or Corona or anything. So, okay, just wanted to give you a quick update on our outreach accomplishments and share how that's relevant to you. This will be a very quick three-part presentation. I'll give you the outreach component, and we'll have a testimonial from Christian Pasensik, who really has a really great story to tell about the annular eclipse in October. And then Chris will wrap it up with our multimedia. So these topics, I got a slide for each one of these eclipse glasses. Go ahead, Chris, next slide, please. Next slide, please. There you go, awesome. The delay stream, yes. So obviously, it all began with the low-tech glasses. Poor Patrick was listening to these ideas probably 5 years out, say, hey, we need to get glasses, get the club prepared, and even our local community. So if anyone recalls, last summer, when we first announced creating an outreach committee, I announced a target of 5,000 glasses that we'd put out in distribution with our recurring schools and libraries and scouts. As of the October annular eclipse, we had met that target and circulated, I think it was 7,200 to 7,400 glasses. And to date, so our target, we've upped it to 20,000. So we're hoping to get, we still have about just shy of 5,000 to offload. We've recruited, I think, 15 different schools and about 7 more libraries and organizations. So we've made an impact, and we're not alone. Other groups, other organizations, and private grants, y'all have heard, even the museums have kind of followed suit and been donating glasses to all the ISD schools and different organizations. It was the SEAL solar eclipse activities for libraries. All libraries were qualified. I think it was 500, 2 batches of 500, or one lump sum of 1,000 glasses each library. So yeah, hopefully there's no excuse that anyone is without proper viewing aids. How's this relevant to you? We got them in the back. In case you've been living under a rock, all club members, if you qualify for 5 free glasses, additionals available for purchase in the back. And any visitors and guests, you also qualify, as Chris would call it. This is a bribe. Help yourself to a bundle of 5-pack back there. Next slide, please, real quick. Yes, to continue the make your own DIY low-tech version. We still have plenty of film, Thousand Oaks. It's the premium grade stuff. We got some samples back there. And thank you to contributions, Cy, John Adelman, many others. I'll stop or I'll leave some names out. You got samples. We have not had, today will not be an official workshop. If there's enough interest, this is a dangerous question. Anyone here, how many folks here might be interested in making their own filters if you have not yet? 600 hands went up. Yeah, so we do have some free materials, a foam board, poster board. We can give you some instructions and help you along with that. That's the alternative to the manufactured store-bought version. Okay, next slide, please. Sun funnels, we talked enough about that. Before the October eclipse, we started with 5. We created 5, and we distributed among different spots, trial balloon. The resounding results was just outstanding. It worked great, great gangbusters. There was no, not a single negative response about it. And it was very popular. Folks were flocking. Don't know everything about funnels, sun funnels yet. We didn't do our jobs. Today, as of to date, we've now built, I think, closer to 30 sun funnels for distribution, again, to some of our libraries and schools and scout groups. Oh, and airstrips. Okay, next slide. So part of that, if you will, what's the word? Part of our portfolio of goodies that to help them engage not only the viewing, but extend into advertising and awareness. Of course, we've been handing out some posters to get the word out long before the media frenzy does. We still got a few if anyone's interested. Look us up in the back. Here's next slide. And so as part of visiting with the schools, one of the hands-on tangibles was this really cool thing called a UV beads. Not sure if anyone's ever heard of these. They come to you as white, pale white beads. We have some samples in the back, some surplus under ultraviolet light or out in the sun. They just magically change rainbow colors. It's a really cool demonstration of the sun's hazards and its energy. So kind of another layer of safety aid, and schools have kind of incorporated that as part of their curriculum. So it's really cool. It's great for the middle school and the smaller kiddos, even high schools. Hey, we're all little kids, even adults. The big kids love it too. So check it out. We got some in the back. Play with them. And if you want, we may even build you a couple of kits. If you have any kiddos in your viewing party coming up for the eclipse, help yourself to some. Next slide, please. So just a brief listing. I think we showed this last month. We've added a couple places. Chris, next slide. And of course, as I said last month, this is by no means the Chris and Juan show. Couldn't have done it without the help of all the guys behind the scenes here. Just from listening to the crazy ideas, testing, helping us succeed or break things, distribution, network of glasses and whatnot. Okay, I think that would be Chris's slide. You have a quick word. I'll tell you what, we'll transition off to Christian here. Listening. Pull up his deck.
Yes. Okay. Hi, my name is Christian, and I am on the Eclipse team, as Juan said. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, imagine, the eclipse. So this is a little bit about the eclipse from 6 months ago. And we already talked about this. You can do next slide for the dates and times for Dallas. You should look it up where you are going to be exactly. Bill had a lot of those links there for the dates and times. But, whoops, hang on. Next slide. Okay, so as a quick recap and testimonial, as he was saying, I worked out at Dinosaur Valley. I can call it working. I volunteered as part of the club, and we had almost 250 people show up. Had a scout troop. We had all kinds of people showing up. Tons of people were there for a run they were having that day, and we had so many oohs and ahs. We had little kids coming up. We had grown adults. We had elderly folks. All of them, you could see their life change when they look through the solar filter, when they look at the hydrogen alpha scope, literally, I think multiple 4-year-old children are going to become scientists because of, not to pat myself on the back too much, but because of what I did. I really feel proud of the fact I was able to help so many people. And the reason I want to do this, show these, and next slide, please, is not just to show you pictures of, look, my vacation slides, but this is really, really exciting for us as astronomers. We get to be in the daylight. We get to talk to people face to face. We get to look at their eyes. They can see our face in the daylight. And they can do these fun experiments and really change their lives. That's my wife up there on the left, helping out, showing pictures. We have some books out. You can see the sun funnel down there. And the stanchions were really helpful, by the way, if you decide to do this. And yeah, the pizza tray here. Just lots of fun, lots of experiments. And people were continuing to come and go. And next slide. And as you can see, we have a nice setup. We even got a great shout out on their social media at Dinosaur Valley, just thanking us. And I mean, honestly, I was the smartest person there, if you will. And I'm not as into it as probably any of you. But I know how shadows work. I mean, it's not that hard once you understand how an eclipse works. But nobody did. I did, and I could explain it. And they all were so excited. So they would keep coming back, and as you can see, it's a great setup, and they had tons of fun. So what I would like is I want you to know that you can be awesome too. And if you would like to, if you know of a group, if you know of a school, of your club, you have a big gathering somewhere, you have a church that wants to do something out in their parking lot, we could help you. Get some glasses, talk to Juan. But this is a great opportunity for you to be the smartest person in the room, because well, you are. Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't have a presentation. I've been busy, so I didn't have a chance to make one. We've got a lot to do in the next couple of days. We have less than 3 weeks. We are going gangbusters. It is a lot to do. So even if you're just observing, even if you're just going out, there's a lot to do. You have to plan. You have to make sure you have everything. So what we talked about before, what I talked about before, I have the safety video right now on the YouTube channel. I'm in the middle of doing the Spanish version. The Spanish version, about halfway done. I should be done probably, I'm shooting for Friday. So I'll put that out. I need to get it proofread. So Manuel will go ahead and check it, make sure I did everything right. And if that's good, then I'll go ahead and publish it. We can pass that around. Right now, does anyone know how to make QR codes? Okay, it's really easy to make a QR code. Go to Google, you type in create QR code. There are several pages that do it. And what you can do is just put in a URL. So if you go to the YouTube channel, the YouTube, and look for Fort Worth, or just youtube.com/Fort Worth Astronomical Society. That's all you have to do. It'll take us right to the page. Find the safety video. It's the latest one. And you can just take the URL at the top, put that into any QR code maker, and print it out, hand it off to people. All they have to do is take a picture with their phone. It'll take them right to the video. Okay, it's really, really simple. But we need to get this information out because people just don't know. Safety video, I specifically made it so that people can see when to put on their glasses at the very beginning, when to take off their glasses, because people will ask, well, do I take off my glasses? Well, you're going to have to, or you're going to miss totality. Now, we know that, but not everybody does, so we have to educate. Like Christian said, we're the smartest people in the room. Yeah. So time is important too. Make sure you know what time the eclipse starts, totality ends, and the eclipse ends in your location. So I know what it is down in Grandview. Grandview is the location where I will be. This is family land. I've said it many times over the last 5 years for people who've been here for a while. So For anyone new, if you are in the club, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I put in a link for a Google sign-up sheet. I can do it again, okay? It has a list of who wants to come. We're doing kind of a potluck. We're going to make brisket and smoked pork shoulder or something like that. There'll be some food. Bring other food for yourself. Bring snacks. Bring water. Bring drinks. We don't know how long people are going to be there, okay? We're not looking to make a profit. If you can chip in a little bit for food, that's fantastic. If not, that's okay too. But the sign-up list is important because we didn't know how many people are coming. But this is open to the club members. This is open to some visiting astronomers. This is not open to the general public. Okay, sorry everybody on YouTube who's watching now. This is not meant as a public event. I will be live streaming from there if the weather is good, okay? If it's not, Juan and I are heading down to Fredericksburg. So hopefully the weather will be better down there. But the live stream will go. It may be not as complicated down in Fredericksburg. Juan was over this weekend at my house. Let's just say it's a forest of telescopes and mounts in the front room. There's quite a bit. I did a quick post on Reddit a couple days ago, and someone said, "Are you sure you got enough?"
When he says he needs help, think about it.
Yeah, I do. I actually sent a picture to a friend of mine, a fellow amateur astronomer down in Austin, and I asked him, "Do you think I have a problem?" And he goes, "Well, you did go to meetings, so." 2 minutes to what? Oh, I keep talking for 2 minutes? Okay, so very quickly, for the people going down to Grandview, there's plenty of space. There will be availability to go ahead and set up the night before. I will be there Saturday night, again, weather pending. You'll be able to set up, do your polar alignments, everything Sunday night. If you really want to, you can sleep in your car, bring a small tent, big tent, Sarah. So, and there's going to be plenty of space. There's a bathroom in the warehouse. It's not a great bathroom, but it is a totally usable bathroom. It is a full bathroom, not like a compost toilet or anything. So we'll be fine there. Again, if the weather goes bad, all that is off. So my plan is to live stream everything. I will be doing, the plan is to start at 11 o'clock for food and go till about noon. In Grandview, the eclipse starts at 12:20-ish. Totality starts at 1:39 and ends by like sometime 1:44, okay? Remember, it is 85 degrees azimuth, so it is just past south. You'll have to do your meridian flips early. So it's 20 minutes after local noon is when totality starts. So I would say 40 minutes before totality is when you need to start planning and all that stuff. So any questions, comments, concerns? It's on the e-group. I'll go ahead and post it again, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow I'll post it again. So it's just a link to a Google Sheet, and within the Google Sheet, there is a link to the map and shows you exactly where it is. Any other questions? Open to club members, family, and friends. Okay, so yes, someone is bringing an entire caravan. I don't know if they're here, but yeah, someone's bringing a whole caravan of a family, so that is fine. Again, we have plenty of space. It should be okay. But it is club members, friends, family, not your let's just say the cousin you don't like, don't bring them. Okay. Anyone else? All good? Okay.
Thank you so much, y'all. And let's give a hand for the entire solar eclipse team. All right, we're going to take a break for 10 minutes. We'll be back for the raffle. Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. John Geromany's got a nice guide back there about the timing of it. And let's go on break for 10 minutes.
Okay, let's get going on the raffle. Oh, okay, gotta wait for someone to purchase. Is this one working, Chris? Can you all hear me? Okay, here we go. Clearly, this is not from the movie. You know, I don't see Clint in that picture. 480-7594. 480-7594. Four eight zero 7574. 480-7574.
Check your tickets, check
Come
your
on up,
tickets.
pick your prize. Pick anything here. All right. 480-7554. 480-7554. We have a winner. We have a winner. Yes, you get to pick. 480-7577. 480-7577. Four 7566.
All right, got a winner. Come on down.
480-7646. 480-7646.
All right, got a winner.
Yep. Right there. So you get to pick from over here. Okay, last one, 480-7583. 75. Charlie Haggard.
Hi, Charlie.
All right, one thing before I hand it off to Bill, we need to give Sarah Twidell, I don't know if she's online, a big thanks. About 3 weeks ago, Birdville ISD sent a letter out to all their parents saying, hey, we know the eclipse is important, but we ain't doing nothing about it. They got a lot of feedback. Was on cloudy nights. I spoke with the superintendent the next day, and Sarah Twidell got them squared away. They are doing a program. Oh, stand up, Sarah. So thank you very much, Sarah. The ambassadors, our solar ambassadors are fantastic.
All right. About to go dark again. Ready? This is what's going on in the sky for the next month. What am I going to talk about? So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's Eli Viela. You get that right? Almost. This is her picture of the beautiful picture, color picture of the moon. So, all right, next slide. All right, bright comets this month that are magnitude 10 and higher. So I've already talked about Pons Brooks. It's under 6, and it's, like I said, about 24, 25 degrees from the sun. 5 degrees from Jupiter. Okay, very good. Yeah. Won't be able to see it with your naked eye because it's not magnitude 1 or brighter, but you'll be able to see it with binoculars. Yeah, I'm actually running an all sky, one of those Starlight Express Oculuses, and I'm actually running it through all sky, as in all sky with EYE on the end of it, and it's a software where you can actually control those things a little more granularly. So I'm hoping to get a nice time lapse with solar eclipse and a little comet over here. We'll see how that goes. Wish me luck. Next comet is 2021 S3. It is brightening. It's in a kilo right now, and it's magnitude 9.1. And I'm getting all my information from aerith.net. Next slide. Oh, by the way, back that up a second. That is Comet Pons Brooks right there, as imaged by our very own Jim Potts. So, yeah, it's actually spinning to the degree that some images are actually showing, if you didn't see the NASA's astrophotography picture of the day, that you can actually see a swirl in the coma. It's actually releasing as a spiral of gas that's being released because of its rotation. It's actually apparent in pictures. It's very cool. Next slide. Occultations and close approaches. Would you believe there's only one? And it's on April, well, during the daytime. I mean, at any time. 2. There's 2. Yeah, isn't that during the daytime? Yeah, I don't list those. And it is not a transit. An occultation, by definition, completely covers up the object behind it. An annular eclipse or a partial eclipse, transit. Tell your friends. All right, next slide. That's right. Take you down almost every time. Okay, Mercury in the evening. So we've got greatest eastern elongation. So Mercury's evening, and it's going to be about 18, a little more than 18.5 degrees over the horizon at sunset, and that's on March 24th. So next slide. Then we have a full moon. Now, why am I showing a picture of an eclipted? Why am I showing a picture of a lunar eclipse? Is because just about every time there is a solar eclipse, there is a lunar eclipse either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after, somewhere. And for us, it happens to be visible in North America. So we got ourselves a little double treat here. Got ourselves, next slide, we've got ourselves a lunar eclipse visible in North America. So we got a little treat a couple weeks before the big day. This is actually another picture by Jim Potts of a lunar eclipse that I don't know when that was, maybe 2018. This lunar eclipse is actually on Monday, March 25th, which is exactly 2 weeks before the big day. Next slide. Then there's the new moon. So there's nothing happening celestially, really, to speak of. In between the full moon and the new moon. But here we are, it is Monday, April 8th, and we have just about I say just about, it's as new moon can get. So next slide. By the way, this is it's right here. Just make sure you see this thing. Get your act together. Make sure you see it. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to feature Hydra, the water snake. It is the largest constellation in the sky when it comes to, area that it takes up on the celestial globe. It's actually a Greek adaptation of a dead, long gone Babylonian constellation, of which name I'm not going to pronounce, and it's capital letters and dots and stuff. It's Babylonian, so but it's a constellation for a snake that they had, and so the Greeks took it and made it their own. Like I said, largest constellation, 1,303 square degrees in the sky. It's got 13 stars with known planets around it. It's got 8 named stars. You've probably heard of Alphard. I think that is the brightest one in the sky. So next slide. And it's a very long constellation. So when I'm showing my objects, I'm going to be shifting the map back and forth, because it's a long constellation. So next slide. So there are a few Messier objects in the constellation here. There's a Messier 48. It's actually an open cluster here, up here near the head here. If you'll go to the next slide here. Charles Messier actually made a mistake. If he discovered this, if he actually discovered it, he wrote it down wrong. The declination was right, but the right ascension was correct. He was 5 degrees off on the declination. So sometimes Carolyn Herschel is actually given credit for discovering this thing, but I'm sure that, Messier that he meant this one. Next slide. So there's Messier 68 down towards the other end of the snake here. Next slide. So it's a nice, beautiful globular. There's about 20% of our globulars in the Milky Way galaxy. It's actually under something called a core collapse. And basically that's when stars actually start to migrate out from the center, and the remaining stars actually start to pull together and actually compact the globular cluster. So there's a fun fact about globular clusters, including this one right here. Next slide. So there's Messier 83 on the very tail end of things. And it's called the Southern Pinwheel Galaxy. So it's kind of pretty similar to the appearance of M101, which is the Pinwheel Galaxy in, Ursa Major? And it's one of the closest and brightest barred spirals in the sky. So there's a dwarf galaxy that's orbiting, interacting with this thing called NGC 5253. And they speculate that all this starburst activity that's going on in its outer arms is due to interactions with that, like tidal interactions with that dwarf galaxy. So this is actually a picture by our very own David Cox, who's always got amazing shots. Next slide. So there's the Ghost of Jupiter. So this one's a great one. This is a planetary nebula. It's bright for a planetary nebula. It's always fun to find. It's named such because it sort of resembles Jupiter until you, get a telescope like the Hubble or something. Next slide. And, you're seeing something like that instead. It's got a nice apparent central white dwarf star, which is the progenitor of all this mess here. And an interesting thing about this is that this is false color with these reds. This is actually high-speed jets of gas that are actually being ejected from the star as part of its eruption routine. Next slide. All right, so we've got NGC 3621. So an interesting thing about this one, you're always looking at pictures of spiral galaxies and you see something with a bulge in the middle. So go to the next slide here. This is called a pure disk galaxy. It does not have a bulge in the middle. Bulges are a result of disruption, astronomers say. So if you see a spiral galaxy without a central bulge, it is implying that it has not had any sort of merger or extragalactic interaction in its history or in its recent history. There are I don't know how many galaxies are like this, but it's just kind of an interesting little tidbit about this. Another thing is that it is believed to have a triple black hole system in its core. So a couple of crazy things about this galaxy here. Next slide. All right, so this is from the Caldwell catalog. So this is Caldwell 66, also known as NGC 5694, and it's also called Tombaugh's globular cluster. And I think we're all familiar with the name Tombaugh. It was Clyde Tombaugh that actually identified this globular cluster as a globular cluster. Next slide here. Nice, pretty. It is actually one of the oldest known globulars in the Milky Way galaxy. They're estimating it to be about 12 billion years old. Next slide. So there's they're small in the telescope. We're not looking at anything that somebody can go out and look at in their telescope unless you got a really, really big telescope, and it helps to be in space as well. So if you've got that, you're good, and I want to be your friend. NGC 3314A and 3314B. This looks like a collision of galaxies. And just because it's tiny, I mean, it's like 1.2 minutes by 0.6 minutes. So we're not talking about something we're going to be able to like pull out the telescope and look at. But this is a really cool one here because it looks like it's a collision of galaxies, but really it's just two galaxies in the line of sight. So this galaxy, this big spiral back here is actually behind this spiral in front of here. And they're obviously, you know, distant from each other by a considerable amount of distance. So next slide, please. All right, so this is my sources for information about this presentation. I go to the skylive.com. Also go to constellation-guide. I'm big on Wikipedia and the universeguide.com. Next slide. And hey, look, it's Pam Klopfer's post-green filter incident sun funnel. And yeah, no, absolutely not. But yeah, April 8th, that's the big day. So keep looking up. Thank you.
Just making sure, not that I don't trip or break my neck, but I don't wreck any equipment. So, okay. So it's time for monthly reports. Bruce, are you, is it Michelle or Bruce tonight for Rising Star? I'm shocked.
Outreach. So there's going to be Patrick. And watch your eyes, everybody. I know. Glasses.
Okay, so here's our next outreach events before the next meeting and just run up to the eclipse. So if we actually have any of these, it's a good time to kind of push on glasses and what to see. So the first two on the list are actually canceled. The forecast is bad tomorrow night, Thursday. Friday actually looks like it'll be clear, so that one's good to go there. Next. And then we got one down in over in Fort Worth, as you can see there on the 27th. One in Grand Prairie. These two, especially one in Grand Prairie, that's going to be mostly solar there, so it's a good push to the eclipse there. And then the Crowley Public Library will be doing some solar viewing, and that's also another great opportunity to do, talk about the eclipse and hand out any glasses and whatever you might have. Next. And then the 5th, there's another talk at the library. I'll handle that one if anybody wants to come out and help there. So we'll be talking about the eclipse. The Saturday, this one is the Act Nature Center. It's one we've helped out before, but they will have telescopes from other groups there. So if you're not able to make it, don't worry about it. But if you're in the area, it's a neat little area to do a star party. And then the night before, one in Kennedale, which ain't far from me, we'll do a star party there, do a little solar viewing beforehand. And then I'll leave this for John. Is John McCrae here? Okay.
Well, as you know, the March Star Party, which is usually the heaviestly attended star party of the year, was rained out. So our next attempt will be April the 13th. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better than it was last time. Beg pardon? The club doesn't have anything planned right now, but Don Young is going to have a solar eclipse festival out there. I'm going to take him about 50 to 100 solar eclipse glasses, but I don't think anybody from here will be there. Yes. No, we have not discussed that. We only discussed the glasses. He would have to have a telescope, and I don't know of anybody that's going to be out there. Okay, Juan has one that could go. Okay, I'll mention that to Don. Okay, good. Thanks.
Next slide.
All right. Whoa. So we usually have the young astronomers the fourth Tuesday of every month, but next week we're going to have it on Thursday, just because of the weather. So the Bedford YMCA, Thursday night, next Thursday, not this Thursday. We're going to start about 6:30, get there a little earlier. We're going to do solar viewing ahead of time because we're going to give a class on the solar eclipse. So if you got solar scopes, you want to come out and help out, it'll be early in the afternoon. Sun sets behind the trees about 7:15, 7:20. I tested that the other day. Then we'll go in and show them all kinds of other stuff about solar eclipses, and that'll be up for the night. So I could use some people with solar telescopes. They come out there about 6, be set up by 6:30 to show that. And then from then on, they'll all be on a Tuesday, and they're on Night Sight Network. I just have to adjust the times on a couple things. So questions on that? All right, next.
There'll be solar view, not solar viewing, but night viewing after. They're- No,
We could.
yeah, they're going to cut the lights. And it's really cool. I mean, we had 19 folks last time. They've got 15 people signed up plus the 19, so it's growing. Um, 1687, I mentioned before. It's a great opportunity for us. We had 5 folks out there, 6 folks out there last time. We need at least 4 scopes. I'll be sending out some information later this week, but these are the dates in April. and definitely going to need some help. So it's worthwhile. And basically, we did the event, and then we all ran over to Rising Star, which is about 20 minutes away. So, yeah, what we do is we get out there, go to Rising Star, set everything up, go out to 1687, do our thing, and head back to Rising Star. So it's an awesome experience. Next slide.
Okay, so
Are you going to talk about Cook's?
I am about to. So, Cook's Children's Hospital. So, Bob and I went to Cook's last Saturday. We did like a tech rehearsal, if you will, and just to get everything working, get everything talking to each other. Was it 4? Right on. So, yeah, we got everything talking to each other. It's going to be great. We've set weather willing. It's going to be March 30th. That's a Saturday that Bob and I are going to go out there. Chris is going to be remote at Grandview. And we're going to take the kids still sitting in their chairs. We're going to take them outside and show them the skies from inside the auditorium there. So really excited about that. This is going to be our first time to do it. So we're hoping that maybe we can be looking at maybe a quarterly thing with them, but very, very exciting opportunity for us.
And the plan is for those patients who can't make it down to the Hofsberger, which is the auditorium, is they're publishing QR codes throughout the complex. So patients that are in their rooms or just can't get down there will be able to watch on their iPhones or iPads and other devices. It's outreach is big to me, and this is near and dear. So,
And brother, this was your idea.
okay, so getting on to reports. Bruce already said he doesn't have anything to say. Shocking. Michelle?
Out, but I think there have been some changes since then, so
Yeah.
that's really what. At the meeting we had at the beginning of the month, the committee recommended using a turnkey for the container, the large container, and then just a basic for the maintenance container. I think items have changed since then, so I'm not sure if that is still the plan. But yeah, we are working towards getting the containers out there.
Containers are going to be ordered tomorrow. So, and they're going to be, we went back and forth on turnkey versus building them out ourselves, and we invested on, rather than doing them turnkey, we invested on getting, making some bunk rooms and some other things, some windows. We have we have almost all of the material to do the electrical work. So it just wasn't cost efficient on some of that stuff. So thank you, Michelle and Bruce. Tom, do you have anything on Palo Pinto? Is George Lutch online? I can tell you that we're still working on porting the website. There have been a couple of club volunteers who are web folks, so we're probably going to have them get started on reviewing what we've done and probably make all kinds of improvements. Any announcements? Oh, that's coming up. Okay, next slide, please. Big John. For those who don't know, John Giarmini is our treasurer, and he does just an outstanding job.
I like to spend money.
other people's money. Uh, So there's a number of changes made to what I have been doing over the years. For one thing, since we are actually working with 1687 Foundation, we're sending invoices to them. So now we have a payables, so to speak, receivables. We have a receivables area, and I've added that to this initial page. And just to give you some idea of the money flow, you can see down there, expenses for the last 2 months are about $21,000. The receipt of donations for the last 2 months is about 8,700, thereabouts. So if you have money that's burning a hole in your pockets. Next slide, please. So one of the other changes that was made in the reporting is on number of entities. For people that are dealing with interacting with funding people, then to have large numbers is a good thing. When we're dealing with organizations that use a particular metrics for their interaction, we use a different number. That's what we've been doing in the past, and that's what that 206 represents there, is the number of different accounts that we have in the system. Those accounts represent the number at the bottom there, that's 344. And the difference is with families. Most of you, those who have family memberships, if you've not made known to us what your family members are, we have no idea what family you're talking about. And so I asked you about that, and all we're doing now is taking that and making that 344 number. Is Dave Ferber here today by any chance? I have your cards. So don't run out without them. Next slide, please. And this is the chart of how the membership goes. And it's always a rather slow incline, a rather rapid decline, and then repeat. So now we're up into territory that, to my knowledge, and I've only been here for 10 years, I think, we've never had 207 actual accounts. So it's impressive to watch. And we had 2 more sign up at the meeting today, and we've got 4 we're waiting on paying dues. So yeah, just stay right there. So there's so much stuff that was going on the last 30 days. One of the major things that we didn't get done was the internal examination. So we're going to take another stab at getting that done. What that is a less exacting audit, put it mildly. So we don't have CPAs do this kind of thing. This is people looking at our registers and receipts and making sure that that matches what's in the bank. We did have, and I want to make sure, I think there were some comments made about insurance, but I don't think the reasoning that was presented as to why we're not there anymore was correct. Actually, the issue is the company that we were going through, he's an insurance agent for a group of nonprofits. And
in that group of insurance policies that he worked to get coverage, none would provide coverage for an environment that did not have municipal fire protection. And that's the reason why we're not there anymore. Let's see. I think that's all of the major stuff. The rest is just continuing things that happen, working the info mailbox, things of that nature. So, are there any questions? Any answers? Great.
Appreciate your feedback.
What's this? What do we got? Next slide. All right, June elections, this is what we have for vacancy still. Bill's going to stay on, and Vice President Jim Potts has volunteered to be treasurer. Stephen Kennedy is asked about being director. He hasn't committed yet, but we'll have elections or a runoff from there. So we still need a president, a secretary, another director. So if nobody volunteers, I'll appoint somebody. So get on it. Appreciate that. Next slide. Oh, and then the bylaws, I'll just talk quick about the bylaws. We talked about that last month. It's something about changing the bylaws so that we can lease the pads. You saw it in the prime focus, and next meeting we'll vote on that. Next. Oh, I know this guy. So this is our guy. He's going to speak to us next meeting. I met him in November or so. He's a Naval Academy grad. He was a Navy SEAL, and then he was an astronaut for many, many years, spent 370 days in space. And now he's the president and CEO of the National Medal of Honor Museum, the only one in the United States that's being put in by Texas and Ranger Stadium. Great guy. He has a great story about the first time he stepped out for a spacewalk. I'll let him tell that, but make sure you show up for this next time. It'll be via Zoom, but he's still going to talk to us.
It's going to be, the voting and all those things.
Okay, so we have 58 folks here today. We have bylaw changes to vote on next month. I would love to see 78 people here. Bylaws are important club business. So appreciate everybody coming. I can't remember the last time I saw this many folk here in the meeting.
I did a head count. I see 71.
Sign-in sheet.
Yeah, so if you didn't sign in, please sign in every time for the meeting and stuff. But yeah, I did a head count in the back and it's 71.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, it's great to see all you folks here. This meeting, this group is for you, and we appreciate everybody and everybody being here. And remember, I'll be sending an email out between now and 6 o'clock in the morning about the work party schedule for this Saturday, and there will be a planning meeting on Thursday via Zoom. After the meeting, social time at the social house. And thank you very much for being here, and clear skies.
And sunny skies.